Hi everyone. Thank you for joining in for this Hangout on Air session today. My name is Kumar Gaurav and I'll be hosting this Hangout as a part of Google Partners program. Please do join our Google Partners community that we have launched for all our partner agencies. To join the community, please complete your profile on Google Partners and affiliate yourself with your agency. Your feedback is also very important for us. Do fill out the feedback form in case you have anything you would like us to improve upon. We would love to hear suggestions. The link to download the presentation will show up once you fill in the feedback form. So coming back to the topic, which is measuring campaign ROI through URL tagging, we have Satyam Gambhir taking this session for us. Do change your video quality to 360p or higher in order to see the presentation clearly. You can do that by changing the video settings from the bottom right side of the video. Please remember that you can ask live questions during the Hangout in the comment section below. Satyam will be taking up all your questions at the end of the session. So without further delay, I will hand over things to Satyam.
Hey guys, good afternoon. This is Satyam here. And I will be taking you through today's session, which is around measuring campaign ROI through URL tagging. So my quick introduction, as I said, my name is Satyam Gambhir, and I am working in the digital marketing domain for approximately 7+ years. And measuring stuff being very close to my heart, Google Analytics is something that I think we can do justice to in today's next 45 minutes. So let's start with today's agenda. So we're going to explore today what is web analytics, but that I am assuming we will have some basic understanding of what this web analytics means to all of us. And then later we're going to design a template campaign media plan and see how that template translates into measuring returns on our investments. So we're going to take some example figures and see how things turn around. So let's start with first things first, web analytics. So as Wikipedia says, it's the measurement, collection, analysis, and reporting of web data for purposes of understanding and optimizing web usage. And Google Analytics is one of those wonderful tools that lets you do all of this. So essentially, if you understand how Google Analytics work, it's a very simple method. You go to Google Analytics, sign up with your company details, and Google Analytics offers you a unique JavaScript code. Now, once that is given to you, you go and paste this in all the web pages you want to track, or either in the header section, whichever suits you best. And the moment you do so, you start getting real-time data on what's happening on your website. So that, I'm assuming, how to do is a very simple thing. Let's move on to today's agenda, which is around campaigns and their measuring of their returns. So campaign basically means you reach out to target clients in a very, very organized way with an end objective in mind. Now, whether it is digital or offline, or whether you are handing over pamphlets on the streets versus you are putting a hoarding on a flyover or whether digitally. Now, when we do such campaigns digitally with the similar objectives in mind, we call it digital campaign. And of course, you guys, I'm assuming, are great digital marketers. You have a host of tools available to you to run those digital marketing campaigns. For example, you have channels like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on and so forth. I'm sure you have certain budget allocated to all of these already. Now, today's objective is how to measure the returns on these investments. And that's where Google Analytics comes in. And let's start with an example media plan. Now, in this case, what you see on your screen is a template plan on how a novice marketer would plan it on a whiteboard. So let's say you are running a New Year offer. The offer can be anything: sign up to get 10% off, or add this to your cart and then you get 10% off, or anything like that. Whether you are selling a product or whether you're doing a call to action, which is actually an offline action. So let's take an example that you're running a New Year offer. And you have, out of all the available channels, you have chosen social media, email, and banner ads to reach out to people. You can, however, choose many more channels, but this is only for demo's sake. We are taking these three as the essential channels. Now, under social media, you realize that the kind of industry you are in, LinkedIn may not be the right thing for you, for example. So therefore, you are going to invest your time, money, and effort in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In email, you are saying that you're going to have 3 email campaigns. One can be before the new year, one on the day, maybe the 1st of January, and the other email campaign which you are sending maybe on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th of January, so that for those people who missed the offer can still join in. And then banner ads, you have your own favorite websites where you want to place your banner ads and attract people on your website. Now, essentially, when you're running your campaign on any of these mediums and sources, you have a landing page where you want all of these people to land at, because that's the action page. That's where you want people to take an action. Now, in this case, let me just give you how Google Analytics basically defines them. So the New Year offer, the first block, we call it a campaign name. You can have any other name. The next level of hierarchy that says social media, email, and banner ads, we call them mediums or channels. You can call them mediums / channels, anything you want. And the next level of hierarchy, which has these 8 boxes, which are the actual web addresses where people are going to see your ad, click on them, and come on your landing page, they are called sources. So we're going to use these terms as we go ahead in the session, and let's see how these translate into measuring returns. Now, while this is a template plan, let's look at how you allocate this budget. Let's say that to run this offer, you have a budget of $10,000. Now, you can either, based on your gut feeling, allocate this $10,000 in the 3 media channels. So, for example, I have given $5,000 to social media, $3,000 to email campaign, and $2,000 to banner ads. Now, when I say this much money you are giving to various channels, they can be actually your advertisement cost. They can also be your people cost, completely based on how you want to perceive this or how you want to allocate the budget. Now, under social media, while you have a budget of $5,000, you are saying $3,000 we'll allocate to Facebook, $1,000 to Twitter, $1,000 to YouTube, and you allocate email as into 3 different campaign blasts, like $1,000 each, and so on and so forth. You buy banner ads for approximately $1,000 each. Now, this is an easy thing. Now, this is up to us. This is our decision. This is our money, how we want to allocate it. Now, imagine that there is a magic box. Now, this magic box has this ability to tell you how much of returns you are fetching from all of this investment. Now, while how this magic box works is the real deal, but let's talk about what it might offer to us. So let's say, whether you are a digital marketer or you're basically hiring an agency to do this, or whether you are that agency who are offering this digital marketing solutions as a service to your client. So if you offer $10,000 to an agency and expect 100% returns on it, this is an easy thing to do. People make up numbers, or sometimes they actually achieve those numbers. But then you go to Magic Box and you want to see how much of each medium versus how much of each source gave us back out of this $20,000. So let's say these numbers look something like this. Out of 5,000 that you invested in social media, 15,000 is the returns on that investment. Now, how that number comes, hang on for a while. Email, you invested $3,000, but the returns are 2,000 only, and hence it's red in color. And banner ads, you invested 2,000, the output is 3,000. Now, when I say returns, I'm talking about the profit. I'm not talking about the revenues. Now, the money invested in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we would also like to know how each of these channels are doing. So therefore, we go one level further, and we again ask this question to the magic box on how much did Facebook contributed to the actual 20,000. So the numbers start coming out. So 3,000 investment, 12,000 returns. Twitter did not help you make much. YouTube, a good platform, you may say, and so on and so forth. You will start getting numbers from this magic box. So while you may say, see this New Year's Eve email, people didn't buy anything. Or on the New Year, people didn't buy anything. But when you are approaching them next, post New Year, maybe for certain reasons, which not getting into details now, people end up taking action in the post New Year email. And the banner ad you placed on some ad basically turned out to be no profit, no loss. And on some other site, it actually gave you 100% returns. Now, if we observe closely what has happened here, and let me hide everything else, let's observe a campaign level ROI versus the source level ROI. So we are saying that out of $10,000 invested, we got a campaign ROI of 100%. But if you observe Facebook alone, we're talking about an ROI of 300%. So while before this magic box actually came into existence, we were feeling like amazing marketers, patting ourselves on the back and saying, wow, we got 100% returns. But actually what we were missing was that there is a branch of our investment that is actually giving us 300% returns, which is so much more greater than the campaign return. So if you were to have this information before you run the campaign, would you not invest all your $10,000 in Facebook alone? Because that would fetch you some 300% return. So if all of those investment were to be gone into Facebook as a channel, I'm not saying that Facebook is one of the best channels. I'm just saying that it is, in this demo, we are saying give us 300% returns. And if we were to invest all $10,000 here, we would get $40,000 as a return, and we were happy with half of it. So essentially, what we are targeting is this. We are targeting that we need this magic box, because that is the game changer. Because once the magic box gives us this information, and once we have this information at our disposal, we might run very intelligent campaigns the next time. And this magic box is nothing else but Google Analytics. And that's the objective for us, to have these numbers which are in green and red, come up with numbers so that we can take smart decisions. Now, Google Analytics, if you know essentially at the basic level what it offers, it basically says that you can easily get some information and data points on how you acquire your users. So there is a panel called Acquisition Panel in Google Analytics. Now, Google Analytics by default tracks some sources and some mediums. So source and mediums, or source and channel, as we've been talking about. Let's take an example. Let's say that a user searches for your product online or in a Google search and clicks on the link that appears, maybe you're on the top 10 search results or you're running an ad, and arrive on your website. So essentially, Google Analytics offers default tracking of two things here: source and medium. You don't have to do anything. You just have to integrate Google Analytics tracking, Google Analytics score on your website, and Google Analytics will offer you, in this case, the source is going to be Google and the medium is organic. So as I said before, source is the actual website from where a user clicks on a link and comes to your website. And medium is how did they arrive there, is the mechanism. So here, in this case, we are saying that source is going to be Google and medium is going to be organic. Now, this is one such example, but your website, when Google Analytics is integrated with it, it can basically track 3 mediums by default. You don't have to do any rocket science to it. So if somebody is coming from a search engine, if a search engine is Google, then the source will be Google. If it is Bing, it will be Bing. If it is something else, it will be something else. And your medium will be organic. And it will be tracked. The user came from that particular source, and medium. If someone else is writing about you on their own blog slash website, or if you ask somebody to basically, give a referral on their own website, then if a user clicks on that third-party website and comes on your website, then it will be called as a referral medium, and the source will be that website name. And if somebody is entering your URL directly, so www.yourbusiness.com, then it will be a direct entry. And in this case, medium will be none. So the word none basically is going to tell you what is the medium. Now, this is when people enter your URL directly, or they click on a bookmark if they have saved you there on their browser. But this is only limited. There are many other mediums and sources that you may want to measure because you're running your campaign on those. For example, email campaigns, display ads, social media. And that is the reason I took all of these three in our example today. How do you measure these? So how do you measure your investment versus your returns? So let's basically talk about a technique or a mechanism which helps you measure, or which helps you understand the acquisition of these users from these channels and more, which are not tracked by default in Google Analytics. And that technique or a mechanism we are calling here as link tagging or URL tagging. Now, what is this link tagging or URL tagging? Now, this basically says that you can measure all of these sources and mediums. So let's take an example to understand this URL tagging. Let's say that you are sending an email to all your subscribers. And in that email, there is a link that talks about your landing page because you want those people to land there. Now, if a user goes and clicks on this link and comes to your website, it will not be tracked, or it will be tracked as a referral because they're clicking on their Gmail account or in their email account and coming onto your website. But you want to track a little further. You want to track how many people came from this particular newsletter that was sent on the New Year day on Monday morning between 10 to 11 a.m. and how many people clicked versus how many people actually bought by clicking on that newsletter. So you want a deeper level of understanding. So what do? You basically tag this link. Now, whenever somebody in this email, which you have sent in the newsletter, click on this link, you want to pass on some parameters which are going to tag this URL so that at the back end in your Google Analytics dashboard, you have a complete clarity on from which newsletter this person came from, which product this person clicked on, and did they actually buy or they exited the website. So essentially, to do this tagging, Google Analytics offers you 5 different types of UTM parameters, or in this case tags, which are campaign source, campaign medium, campaign name, campaign term, and campaign content. Now, campaign name, medium, and source, we've already seen what they mean. Campaign term and content, in this case, are optional. We will talk about it when we have clarity on the top 3. So when you are sending an email with a link to your website, you may want to tag it by giving it some parameters. So you will put a campaign name along with this link as New Year offer, because that was the campaign name. Campaign medium in this case is email, or campaign channel, you may call it as email, and source as New Year Eve email. You may want to name it, on any logic that is easy and comprehensive for you. In this case, I like to keep it without any spaces and capital letters because it is case sensitive as well. So I keep it simple by just writing it without spaces. Now, how do we build these tags with the URL? Let's talk about it. So Google offers you something called as a URL builder form. Now, using this URL builder form, you may translate or transform any casual URL of your website into a longer URL which is smart enough to tell to the admin of the website that from which source, medium, and campaign this person is coming from. So I'll repeat this for clarity. You can change your casual URL to a little smarter URL or a URL with UTM parameters and have that advertised instead of the normal URL, so that when somebody clicks on those URLs, you get to know from where they are coming. So let's do a quick example. Let us do an actual demo. So in this case, I'm going to a website called marketinomics.com. So this is a personal blog. This talks about digital marketing. Now in this case, I'm clicking on a button called inbound marketing. Now this inbound marketing page has it's like a normal web page. It has a banner video which runs automatically. And then there is some stuff to learn about inbound marketing and so on and so forth. I've already set goals. If somebody signs up for an inbound marketing workshop on this blog, then a goal is achieved. So I'm assuming that people know how goals are set up. And we attach a value to this goal. Now, this is only for demo purposes, friends. I do not run inbound marketing workshop. This is only for this session. I've set this up. So let's say I want to market this particular landing page and I want to run a new year offer that I'm giving 10% discount on, let's say, inbound marketing workshops this year. So what do? I go to a new web page and I open Google URL Builder. So from the support section of Google, you get this URL Builder form. I'm just opening it. It gives you a template, and I'm just skipping all the learning stuff, going directly to the URL Builder form. And it is a two-step process to pass on the UTM parameters to a casual URL of your website. So what do? I go to this particular landing page, I copy this, and I go paste it in the URL Builder form. That's step number one, very simple. Step number two is please fill in the fields of campaign source, medium, and name, because those are the mandatory fields. The rest are optional. So we'll start from the bottom. The campaign name was New Year Offer. Campaign medium was Facebook in the first case. Sorry, campaign medium was social media in the first case. And source was the actual website from where people are going to click on your ad. Once you do that, in step number two, you can skip campaign term and content for now. We'll come back to it. You click on generate URL. Now, if you observe closely how this URL looks like, it is your casual URL of your website. After that, there is a question mark, and then talks about UTM source equal to Facebook and UTM medium equal to social, UTM campaign equal to New Year Offer. Now, UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module. Now, Urchin was the name of the person who came up with this piece of technology and then was acquired by Google around, I think, in 2005 or 6. And then it became a part of the regular offering of Google Analytics. So you don't have to worry about what this UTM means now, because it's now a part of the same tool. Now, whenever you do any Facebook marketing, now there are multiple ways in which you can advertise on Facebook. You are going to use this URL instead of the normal casual URL, because now it has the ability to track with UTM parameters. So let me give you a demo. Let me go to facebook.com in this case and open a Facebook fan page of that particular website. So it has some 7,000 fans. And now instead of pasting that normal URL, I'm going to paste this longer one. I'm just copying this and paste it here. Now, as you may already know, Facebook changes a URL into a thumbnail and a header and a description by itself. We don't have to do anything. So in this case, it automatically translates into a photograph, which you may want to change later on, and you can change the header or anything like that. So you can write any good call to action here. Hey marketers, get 10% off on inbound marketing workshop this Diwali, this New Year. Book your seat now, or anything you believe is a good call to action. And then how much of budget do we have for Facebook? Let's go back. I think we had a budget of $3,000. So I'm going to boost this post for $3,000. Or I mean, you guys are Facebook marketers. You know how to exhaust your $3,000 on Facebook. There are many ways to doing it. So if you set this budget, the moment you make this post live, it is going to start appearing on people's timeline. Now, the moment people start clicking on this ad, so I'm not going to post this anyways. So the moment people are clicking on this ad, they are not going on the casual URL. They are going on the longer URL. Now, this longer URL basically takes the user to the same landing page. Now, once the user arrives on this website, which is exactly the same page which it would take to if it were a casual URL, is the same page. Now, from this moment, anything the user will do, now whether they go to the contact page, blog page, or any random page of this website, and then finally end up purchasing a product or a service or signing up as a lead, etc., whichever your objective may be, will be tagged against Facebook, social media, and New Year offer. So that at the back end, you get to know that I made this sale, or I got this lead, or I got this offer from Facebook, social media, New Year offer. So in this case, you may want to simplify this process by having an Excel sheet. So let me just show you an Excel sheet. So I put a formula here, which is a normal concatenate formula. Now in this case, I may be running the campaign on various mediums and sources. So we have just talked about this one, which is social media, Facebook. Now the landing page may remain same for the same campaign, whether you are running it on Twitter, YouTube, or email campaign, or a banner ad. So Facebook was just an example. So in this case, I'm just going to drag this formula to a newer cell. And let's say that now I am running the same campaign, same landing page on Holy Offer. So it is going to be a part of this URL because of the formula that I've put in. Or campaign medium in this case, let's say, is social media, and campaign source in this case is Google+. So this becomes your URL that you are going to use in all your marketing campaigns on Google+, so that you get to know from where the user is coming. Now, when your campaign is running in full steam, whether it is Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or email, or banner ad, or anything, the user will start seeing your campaign everywhere because you may be targeting a similar set on various channels. Now people have started coming in, they have started clicking on the links, they're coming on your website, they're making a purchase versus they're not making a purchase. So how do you know what's happening? So you go to Google Analytics. So in this case, I'm going to my Google Analytics dashboard, google.com/analytics, signing in. And let me go to the reports. So this is my Google Analytics reporting dashboard. I go to acquisition because we are talking about acquiring users. I go to my campaigns and I click on all campaigns. So while we are talking about New Year offer, there was an offer that I was running for Diwali in the previous demo. So let me select a larger date range for you so that we have good amount of data. So in this case, you see there is an offer running, which is Diwali offer. In this case, we have acquired 103 different sessions where the engagement has been 8.26 pages per session. That means a really engaging campaign we ran on Diwali. And average session duration was more than 5 minutes. There was practically zero bounce rate. And the product we sold, and we got the profit was 1400 US dollars. Now, how this money is coming from? So I would like you to refer to the previous hangout that we did around setting up goals. So this is how the number is coming, $1,400, because each purchase was worth $100. So 14 goal completions versus $1,400 we made. Now this $1,400 is that first green color number that we were talking about. So let's go back. So look at this green color number, which is $20,000 here, is exactly the number, $1,400 here. Now this $1,400 is, let's say this is a real-time information. This $1,400 we made as of today, or as of the date we have selected in the date range. Now it's now right time to go back, check your credit card bills on how much you have exhausted. So I'm sure you guys know that your digital marketing budget does not get exhausted immediately the moment you allocate your budget. The budget gets exhausted either cost by, cost per click basis or cost per million views basis. So every time somebody clicks on your ad, your money gets exhausted. And every time somebody views based on what kind of a campaign you have set, money gets exhausted. So you see here, go back to your credit card bills and your Facebook versus Twitter as channels. See how much of money have you exhausted. If it is less than $1,400, you're doing great. If it is $1,400, you're just no profit, no loss. You need to do something better. If you actually spent more than $1,400, that means you need to do something better. You need to fix the issue in terms of time and effort with your campaign. So let's say when we actually spend $10,000, we might get to see $20,000 as returns here. So this is in the midway. Now at the same time, in this case, we are saying that, okay, as a campaign, we made $1,400, but how do we know how much money Facebook helped me make, or how much money Twitter helped me make, or how much money a campaign helped me make, or an email campaign helped me make? So I'll click on this link. Now it shows me on how much money I made from each source and medium. Now it works like magic. So it says here, Twitter social, you acquired 49 sessions, 9.65 pages per session. Average session duration was approximately 6 minutes, and 900 US dollars is the contribution out of 1,400. LinkedIn, $200. Again, Facebook didn't help much, only $100. You did a pre-Diwali Monday email out of which 7 people acquired and $100. So one of them actually made a purchase. So a great conversion rate of 14%. So you see here, coming back to our presentation here, in this case we are saying the moment you create a normal URL into a URL with UTM parameters, so I would like to call it a smarter URL with the use of Google URL Builder, or as I said, you may use a normal Excel sheet and apply a formula. Go on creating as many URLs as much you want based on which all mediums and channels you want to target. Go on creating all of those URL with UTM parameters and start your digital marketing campaign. Google Analytics will do the rest. It is going to track each and every penny that you've spent to the decimal place of your returns. So as I said, the moment you start tracking this on an Excel sheet, and so this is how it looks like. So as I said, this is a demo website, and slowly and gradually your sources and mediums start to appear. Now we did talk about campaign name, campaign medium, and campaign source. We did not talk about campaign term and campaign content. So those were the other 2 parameters which we talked about, but we didn't discuss. So these 2, what are these 2 things? So let's talk about campaign content first. Let's take an example. Let me open a whiteboard here. So let's say a company or an e-commerce company, whether Amazon, Flipkart, is sending you an email. Now that email usually has multiple call to actions. It doesn't have, okay, go click here to buy this. So how does an email template looks like? It basically says on one email there is a good model image. which is wearing a very fancy shirt, and it says get 10% off on shirts this new year. And then there'll be a button of buy now or something. And then there is another photograph of another good looking model. Then it will say get 20% off on skirts. And then there will be another photograph that will show a photograph of a watch. Then it will say 15% off on wristwatches. Now in a single campaign here, now look at the complexity. In a single campaign here, the campaign name remains the same, which is New Year offer. The campaign medium remains email. Campaign source remains, let's say, Monday email, because that's the actual email name you have set at the backend. Now, how do you know that a user clicked on the first image versus the second image or the third image? Because that's very important as an analyst. You can then take a call on which model image really worked. Do you really need to change the model, or do you need to replace or reposition images here and there? So therefore, there is something called as campaign content, which you can add, in this case, let's say shirts, and embed that link into this image at the back end of this image. So I'm going back to Google URL Builder here. So I'm also going to use campaign content as shirts and click generate URL. So in this case, let me change this social to email, source as Monday email, and campaign name remains the same. The moment I click on generate URL, it is now going to give me again a longer URL, but in this case, campaign content is the shirts. So I'm going to copy this URL and embed it behind this particular image. Now I'm going to create another URL with parameter content as skirts and generate that URL and embed it behind that particular image, so that at the back end I get to know while people are opening the email remains the same, the medium remains the same, and the source also remains the same. I get to know where people are clicking on, though they're all going on the same landing page. Now, while campaign content helps you differentiate between different ads that you may be running in the same campaign, campaign term helps you identify the keywords people are typing onto Google search engine. And while your paid ads come up, this is usually used for paid keywords. So if somebody types in for the greatest or the best digital marketing agency in India, and let's say that your agency name comes up, that particular link will have a campaign term keyword also at the back end, so that you know while people are searching for me, they're also clicking on me. So this is what campaign term is used for. So essentially, five campaign parameters, or UTM parameters, or urchin tracking module parameters, can be used to track the acquisition of the user and also at the back end see whether they are buying your product or not. So before I kind of wrap up and open the session for question, I usually get this question of, while okay, great, it is fine that people allocate budget on the basis of gut feeling. So I basically said $10,000 got allocated to 5,000 versus 3,000 versus 2,000, but is there a science behind it? Because I'm assuming you guys would be coming from a digital marketing background or an agency background. Is there a science behind allocating budget? The answer is yes. While there are many case studies which basically talk about based on which industry you belong to, this is the percentage of your budget you should allocate to social media versus email marketing versus banner ads. I personally would not like to follow such case studies, because there is an actual science of allocating your $10,000 into various available channels. So let's talk about those channels, and let's talk about a technique in which you can scientifically allocate budget without wasting any money. Because another question that usually come with my clients is, that it's great that you start having these numbers from a Google Analytics dashboard. But what is the point in getting these numbers when the campaign has ended? I mean, that's the precise point, because these numbers will come when the campaign is real-time running. And when we have exhausted $3,000, we will get to know that only 2,000 we have made. And we need to know before we have exhausted all the money. So I'm going to do again, go back to a whiteboard and talk about this science on how to allocate this budget properly. So going back to this offer, I'm writing it again, let's say New Year offer. And in this case, you have had a budget of $10,000. And then you started allocating your media budget in various things: social media, email, and banner ads. And again, you said under social media, there may be many such things, maybe 4 or 5. Under email, you may have many other email marketing channels and banner ads and so on and so forth. So you're saying here, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google Plus. Now email says, pre New Year, and so on and so forth. So here I'm just writing NDTV or money control. So instead of allocating your $10,000 of budget based on your gut feel, what you actually do is allocate the exact $10,000 to each source. So 10K to Facebook, 10K to YouTube, 10K to Twitter, and so on and so forth. Now you may be thinking, why am I doing this? Am I crazy when I have only $10,000 in my pocket? Why am I asking you to spend $90,000? So I'm not asking you to spend all your $90,000. All I'm saying is just allocate the budget and push the campaign live and real-time observe the returns on your investments. So where do you observe returns on your investment? Going back to Google Analytics dashboard, keep a real-time track on this particular dashboard on how much money you are making from each source and medium. So when I say real-time, based on how long a campaign you are running, if it is a 6-month campaign, you can have a look at it every 5 hours or maybe every day. If it is a 1-month campaign, have a look at it almost every 6 hours. Versus if it is a 3-day campaign, look at it real-time. Keep refreshing it because this is a real-time data. So you will start seeing which source and medium is doing better versus which ones are not doing better. So I'm just assigning all the sources and medium on the basis of descending order of returns on our investment. Twitter comes on top. So in this case, I am saying Twitter is doing great for me because my credit card expense shows that I have spent only $100, but people coming from Twitter have already bought for $900. So it's great. Let me continue this. Again, LinkedIn, I've actually not spent much, $200. It is great, and so on and so forth. So slowly and gradually, you will start seeing all your sources and mediums having some figure, some value attached to it. And that's the time you go back to your whiteboard and decide real time which branches should you prune, because maybe your money control ad is not doing better. So why wait for $2,000 that you have earlier allocated to get wasted? You might have actually spent only, let's say, $100 here and got nothing out of it. So why do you wait for another $1,900 to be spent on it? So real time, have a track on it and keep pruning all of those branches which are not doing well. So slowly and gradually you will realize that automatically all of your budget automatically got translated or automatically went on whichever money that you saved here. So in this case, you just saved $1,900 here because earlier you were allocating $2,000. So all of this money will be saved and essentially go to only those channels which are doing good. So in this case, we are saying all those channels which are not doing good, we are going to cancel all of them and automatically. So there is no need to depend on any case studies which are available in the market. That, okay, based on some case study done by some company, it says that if you spend 50% of your social media stuff on social media, it is going to give you significantly higher returns. So don't rely on all of them because you are unique. Your clients are unique. Your agencies need to provide unique solutions. So do such a strategy in which you offer the maximum value to your client, and therefore such a real-time check on your returns on your investment from a dashboard helps you do a wonderful budget planning. Okay, so right now I'll just do a quick recap of what we did in the last 45 minutes, and then I'm going to open the house for questions. You may type in your question in the comment section, and we'll pick up a few questions to answer them. So how we all started? We started with doing a budget allocation to our media plan, and then we had certain numbers in our mind that we may want to achieve, and then we went on to creating custom URL tags which allow us to measure the non-default channels which Google Analytics do not offer in out-of-the-box solution. So social email display in this case. And we started adding tags to almost every campaign that we do. So these tags, how do we do them? We do them by using 5 UTM parameters: name, medium, source, term, and content. So we don't have to apply much of our brains here. We just copy paste what the name of the campaign is, what is the medium, what is the source, and start creating such URL parameters. And we may want to use an Excel sheet and use a concatenate simple formula on how these different URLs come out for different sources and mediums, and start running our campaign full steam. And at the back end in the Google Analytics dashboard, we will start seeing these numbers very, very clearly. And that will help us make decisions on which branches and which level of hierarchy should we stop, which campaign should we stop, and save our money before we entirely exhaust money for that particular branch, and reallocate that budget to something that is working. So if we were to do this real time, we can save all of this money, or not all, but you can make smarter decisions and stop running campaigns on all of those channels which are not turning out good for you. And if a campaign, so based on my experience, if a campaign is not doing good on Twitter, let's say, but it is doing very good on Facebook, let's say. Now what happens is we have the tendency to extrapolate things into future. So as an analyst, let's not do it. That's a crime we can do. So let's not do this. Let's not extrapolate. Let's be a little more creative. Digital marketing is a very creative field. So I would recommend not to form preconceived notions that because this campaign did not do good on Twitter as a source, let us not allocate fund to Twitter in future. No, let's not do that. Let us continue to do the same thing, allocate the entire budget to all of these sources and see which one is working better. So this is the best way to run a campaign, and this is the best way to see how the returns are coming up with real-time data. So I'll pick up the questions now, and if you have any questions coming in your mind, you can post them on the comment section. I'll pick up a few questions. Let us see. Okay, the question I received from Ash Vyas. Okay, question is, campaign term gets generated automatically or be put explicitly. Please elaborate campaign term with an example. Okay, very nice. So let me share my screen again. Let me go to a random Google query. So let me do best digital marketing agency in India. So now in this case, whatever comes up, I also see some ads Now what has happened here is if I click on the first link or the next or the ones that I see on the right, these ads have started appearing because the owners of these agencies are paying money to Google. Now they would like to know how many people are clicking on it. So they also have a custom URL that is embedded behind this link. So if you, I'm sure people who know Google AdWords here, they will know that this is the URL that says adlift.com/digital marketing, but the actual URL behind it is something else. This is a display URL. So in the backend, when you actually show, when you actually click on this link, it will take you to a URL which will have UTM parameters to it, and the admin will get to know on particular keywords. So you have to manually embed it. It doesn't happen automatically. So let me see if they have done any UTM parameters to it, just for a demo sake. I'm clicking on this link. So look at this. They have done UTM source equal to Google, campaign equal to brand, UTM medium equal to CPC. They have not done it. So let me take another example, if it is possible. So not many people are doing it, but so sometimes it also happens that, okay, let me explain to you what has happened in this case. So this agency or this particular link did not do any UTM parameters because they have designed a custom landing page for this ad only. So if you look at it, it's a subdomain. So it is not a URL that users will come from various areas. They will come from a single this thing. So they decided not to use it. And also, if you're using Google AdWords, what happens is all of these parameters are embedded by default. But if you're using any other ad tools, for example, if you're placing an ad on Twitter or Facebook or Google, sorry, not Google Plus, they also do it. So if you're placing an ad and allocating some budget, let's say on Facebook ads, they will not do all of these for you. You have to create a custom URL. So therefore, when you have to create a custom URL, in that case, it's better you create a content term as well. So Jitin says, how much effective this tagging is on scenarios like click-assisted conversions versus cross-device conversions? Okay, so I would say, though this is not a scope of this session, but let's pick it up in the next workshop. It is very effective, in short. So I think let me pick up this topic in the next workshop, where we also club this data with the data of channel acquisitions and multi-channel conversions. Now what happens in multi-channel conversion is that if somebody sees you on Google AdWords, clicks there but did not buy anything, does not buy anything, then sees a YouTube ad and then clicks on it, then also doesn't buy, but then later on goes on, enter the URL directly and then buys it. So all of that can be tracked when you do a multi-channel tracking. So in short, answer to your question is very, very effective. It tracks all of those. And you know what? Any URL parameter that you give along with your normal URL or a casual URL overrides your default settings of Google Analytics. So even if somebody is coming from organic results and they're clicking on such a long URL or a UTM parameter URL, so it will overwrite the organic source and mediums. And this will help in assisting multi-channel conversions as well. So Jitin also has a question. He says, how to make use of real-time analytics data to optimize PPC campaigns. See, as I just showed you before, you have a real-time access to clicks versus conversions. So when I go back to this, it says 49 people acquired or 49 sessions acquired versus $900. Now, you have ready real-time access to this data. And when I say real-time, it's actually real-time, maybe a lag of 2 to 3 seconds. So when you have such a huge information or such an immensely useful information at your disposal, I'm sure you can stop a PPC campaign or pump in more money if it is going on well. Now Vishal says Google AdWords came up with tracking template update. Oh yes. Do we still need UTM tagging? The answer is no, Vishal. So your question is very, very valid. With Google AdWords, UTM parameters are already embedded. So if you're using Google AdWords to using it properly, you may not need this. However, Google AdWords is not the only platform that you use to advertise, my friend. So it is for all the other platforms. And so which do not provide you out of the box UTM parameters. So so I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for your time and the last 1 hour that you spent with me. And I think this session is going to keep you coming back to this recording because measuring campaign investments and returns on your investment is the most essential thing an agency can offer. Or if you are an organization planning to hire an agency, this is something you should evaluate an agency on. So thank you so much, friends, for your time. Have a good day ahead, and thanks a lot.